Alright guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness. Now this video, what I'm going to be doing is a Q&A. It is my first ever Q&A. And what I did is, it's actually weeks ago that I put this in a video. I asked you guys for questions and I got a whole bunch of questions, and then it's just taken me a couple weeks to get to this point now. As some of you know, I had the ability recently to leave the job that I was at for like 4 years, which is really cool, and now I have the ability to put more time into YouTube, more time into creating content for you guys. So I'm finally getting to the point to where I can create this Q&A. So I thought this would be just a little bit more casual, so it's like we're just sitting here kind of having this conversation. And what I'll do now is I'm just going to answer some questions. Some of them are going to be like more personal, some of them are going to be more on the information that I share on this channel. A lot of them are about the law of attraction. Go figure. I mean, that's what I share a lot on this channel, so I get it. First off, I'll answer, how about a personal one? I get this question a lot actually. How do you get your teeth so white? So I don't whiten them, I don't go and I don't put use Crest whitening strips or anything like that. What I do is I just brush them twice a day, or 3 times a day, just depends on the day. And I use Tom's toothpaste, which is fluoride free, and pretty much what I do. Also, keep in mind I do have a ring light that I use, which might make my teeth look whiter than they are. They are pretty white though, to be honest with you. So, or I get asked a lot that, not to be cocky about it, but it is what it is. Where do you see the sweet spot between taking action and letting go could be? Is it sometimes we're taking too much and wasting energy or useless stuff, or not enough to realistically hit our goals? So this is a question about taking action and letting go, and this is something that is very important. Now when it comes to it, it's about really just being aware of the kind of action you're taking and what kind of results you are getting. So you might see that if you take a whole bunch of action, but you're not getting results, it may mean that you need to reiterate or figure out what actions have highest leverage. So it's about really being aware of what that is. Now for me, for example, I decided to make a video a day, and I realized that making a video a day was the highest leverage thing that would completely change my life. Like, I remember I was sitting there and I was like, what is the one thing that if I did every day in a year could profoundly change my life? And for me, that was making a video, and I made that decision back in February, and since February, a lot has changed because of that decision. Now, this is something I also hammer in a lot, and I remember the other day somebody commented on the channel and was like, you don't get it, it's not about taking action for the law of attraction. You hammer, it's not about action, it's about more just thinking about it. And any successful person that you can study, and I know there's anomalies, I know there's exceptions, but in general, for most people, any successful people that you can read their biographies or learn about people that have grown businesses, they've had to at some point take action. Now I'm not saying take action to a point to where it's like your nose to the grindstone and you hate taking action. When you do what you love, action is a natural part of it. You love taking action. And I mean, find me one person that has really been able to create massive success, and somebody that we really look up to, and they've taken massive action before. And for me, it's one of the things in the law of attraction community that I think is just really underemphasized. And that's why I kind of explain it so much, because with the movie The Secret and a lot of people that talk about the law of attraction, it's all about the energy, it's all about the thinking. Well, that was me. That was me for like 2 years of having this YouTube channel. I sat around and I was all focused on the energy, I was all focused on the vision for what I want to create. But guess what? It didn't really pick up until I took massive action, and that's when everything happened. So I only say it because I've learned it from experience. If you have just created, something magnificent and amazing success for yourself without taking action, I think that's great, and that's your experience. But my experience is that action is a part of the process, that the more you take action, the more you learn to love taking action, and that from there, that's when you get amazing results. It's inspired action plus the energy and the vision that you have. So it's a little bit of both. Sorry, I kind of went on that tangent there, but when that person commented it, like I didn't, really down talking the whole taking action thing. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm not attached to it, but at the same time, I know it works for me. So I like to talk about things that I have experienced for myself, and that's why I share it with you guys. So Another question that I got was, can you give examples of of things you manifested that you wanted, how you manifested those things? So I will link up at the end of this video a law of attraction, the top three law of attraction stories that I have. But just to kind of summarize a couple of those, the moment that I really became aware that the law of attraction was something that could be powerful, or I really started to believe in it, was I worked in a sales commission job at Nordstrom's for about 5 years. This is about 6 years ago. And I worked there from pretty much right when I got out of high school, and it was all commission. You got paid 10% commission of whatever you sold, and about 3 years into it, I learned about the law of attraction. And I remember that I decided I was going to try it. So what I did is I went over to my mirror, I had a dry erase marker, and I wrote down a certain amount. I wrote $6,668. And what I did is I wrote that number down, and I just simply believed, and I thought about hitting that number at the end of the day. Like, by the end of the day, that was as much I was going to have in my commission for that day. And I worked in women's shoes. The average price point was anywhere between $200 to $800, and to hit that exact amount would have been kind of, very rare, because it's a very specific amount and all the shoes to add up. I wanted to get within at least a couple $100s of it. But I remember that I went to work that day. It wasn't necessarily busy. It wasn't like a Saturday, or it wasn't like we were crazy busy or anything. But I remember that I specifically was very busy that day. Like, I was standing around, I had other, salespeople around me, but I always picked up the right customer at the right time. And I remember that by the end of the day, I went, before I left for the day, I checked my number, and I had sold within $100 of that $6,688 or whatever it was. It was right around, I remember there was 6688 in it. I don't know which order, but it was 6,000 and then one of those. And I sold within $100 of it. And with that point going forward, I knew there was something to it, because it was, first off, that was a high goal for the day. I mean, we get 10% commission. That means I made between $600 and $700 for that day. And to be within that amount, it just proved to me that there was something there. So from that point going forward, I was much more consciously aware of what I was thinking. I was much more aware of how I could intend for certain things to happen, and it happened more from there. But that was the first big time that it happened for me. And was another story I had to do, I like to share it because it's something I'm very passionate about. It's this YouTube channel. At a certain level back in February, like I said, I asked myself the question, what's the one thing I could do that would really change the kind of results that I was getting in my lifestyle? And it was creating a video a day. And from that point going forward, I decided that no matter what, I was going to create a video a day. So there was a lot of action that was there. The energy, the passion, the emotion, it was already there. The missing link for me was the action. I decided to take action every day with it, and within a month, things went from I was growing by like maybe 300 a month. Then it got to where I was growing by like 1,000 or 3,000 a month, and then like the next month it went up to like 20,000 a month. I had a couple videos that started to hit on high view velocity, and from there things really picked up. I went from, back in February, I had maybe 2,000 or 4,000 subscribers, and now I'm sitting at 90 something thousand. And it's all something that was intended for. I had a certain goal by a certain time of the year. That's what I wanted to hit. And it's definitely moved there very fast. And I'm within, I should be able to hit that goal here within the next month or so, is 100,000 subscribers. And for me, that's just a benchmark, because it shows that if I take action and I have a certain intention, and my intention with this channel is to add value to as many people as possible. It's to really spread a message, more so than, having the ego of, oh, I have 100,000 subscribers, or I have this kind of following. It's more so about you guys and having this interaction with you guys and feeling like I can share these ideas with you. And I feel really grateful to be able to do that every other day, or every day. And the other thing I knew is that in order to change my side hustle, in order to change my side hustle to my full time, the one thing I really had to do was I had to treat my side hustle as my full time, which meant that as I was going to work every day, I would go work an 8-hour shift. I would come home. Sometimes I'd come home at midnight, because these last 4 years I worked at Barney's New York in women's shoes, which is like a high-end luxury retail store. And I live in Vegas, so we're in a luxury casino, and I'd work till midnight sometimes. I'd come home, get home at like 12:31. I would film a video till about 2. I would edit till about 3 or 4, have it set out to go out at 10:30 the next day, which is when all my videos go live. And then I would sleep for like 4 hours and get up for the next day, because I'd work earlier the next day. That happened a lot. And then eventually I figured out, hey, if I create like 4 or 5 videos in one day, then I can edit and have like less strain on myself. But in general, I had to really, put a lot of energy into this to get it to grow, and that's, in a way, a manifestation story, but there's action involved. But I say it because action is a part of the process. I love making videos for you guys, and that's why it doesn't really feel like work, even though I am working. Now that I don't have that job anymore and I let it go, but my last day was the McGregor-Mayweather fight, and I did it intentionally because I knew it was going to be busy, and it was kind of like a celebration for me afterwards. But I work very hard now. I still probably work 8 to 12 hours a day, but doing just what I love. I'm creating videos right now for you guys. This don't feel like work. Even when I edit videos, that don't feel like work. Eventually what I want to do is travel around and make videos in different places. It's not going to feel like work, I get to share these ideas with you guys. So it's all a matter of perspective. When you really love what you do, it's kind of like something that's kind of more natural, kind of just flows a little bit better. Let's get to a couple more questions. Are there any suggestions to tolerating and loving negative people? The first thing I would say to this is be very reluctant to label someone as negative, because sometimes if we are focused and knowing that they are negative, then what we do is that becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we in a way can influence them to kind of draw and pay attention to those characteristics of them. Now, that you can still be discerning and realize that maybe their energy isn't compatible with you. But the first thing is to really just show them compassion. A lot of the people that are negative have been through a lot in their lives. I remember there was this one guy I used to work with that he was considered of having like very negative energy, and people would talk smack about him. People would always say things about him. And I'm always that guy that loves the underdog. I'm always the one that likes to see people different from the way other people see them. So me, for example, I befriended the guy. I was friends with him, and I actually got pretty close to him. And knowing his childhood and hearing his stories of how he grew up, it became very obvious to why he was a negative person. And it was like showing them and being friends with them and really understanding them. This is another strong one. Seek first to understand rather than be understood. That's very powerful for the process, because it puts you in their shoes and you realize that at the deepest level, we're all human. We've all been through things. I went through a lot in my childhood. I was around somebody that was very negative. It was my ex-stepmom. She was very abusive in certain ways. And coming out of that when I was 15 years old when my dad divorced her, I could have been and really held on to the victim mentality. But what I learned is first off, I was able to forgive her because I realized that she was abused by her dad, that a lot of the controlling aspects, and she probably has some type of bipolar disorder. I don't say that in a judgmental way, but I say it because it helps me understand how someone else is coming towards and how someone else is thinking. So that's important, because when you seek first to understand rather than be understood, it allows you to not attain or to label them as negative. It allows a more equal understanding there, and then you can really feel compassion for them. I have no hard feelings towards her whatsoever because I have these ideas or I understand them, and it's just I think that's important. It's just you can have compassion for other people when you understand at a deeper level that we're all connected and that we're all doing what we're doing based on our own rationalization and how we feel. So that's a way to kind of forgive at the same time of letting go of maybe people being negative or having that label that's attained to them. Let's see. What is the paradox between life past and understanding the paradox between free will and destiny? I believe that every one of us has a certain type of destiny, certain things that we wanted to do in our life experience. Now, the thing is we have free will. We can create what we want in our life. Now, in general, the emotions that we feel of passion, I believe that passion and us following our excitement is part of our destiny. For example, for me, I've known since I was a freshman in high school that I wanted to be a speaker in some form, that I wanted to be at some level somebody that travels and speaks. I've just always known that. Now, the kind of information I share maybe was up to more free will, depending on where I am in my path. But at the same time, that would happen in some form. So think of it in the way that we have a hallway that we are destined to walk down. Now, the way that we walk down that hallway is up to us. We could run, we could skip, we could jog, we could walk backwards, we could walk zigzag. That's our free will. In general, we will always knock back to that hallway based upon our emotions and what we intend to do in our life. But the way we go about that is up to us. We have the free will to create what we want, but that's kind of the analogy I use. So there may be different forms that you could express your passion. Maybe you have a passion for creating some type of art, but the art could be open to your own interpretation. The art could be creating videos. It could be actually drawing. It could be sculptures. There's so many ways to go about it, but the expression is what's important. You wanted to express yourself. So that's kind of the idea and the perspective that I had. Maybe there's certain contracts we have with certain people, and we can have those, but at a deeper level, there is free will involved in there as well. So it really is kind of like that paradox. Now, maybe one more question. We're getting to 17 minutes, and I think I only have 17 minutes left on this SIM card. So let me see. Spirituality can be exhausting in certain phases. What tips do you have for keeping energy levels high to stay out of the funk? Now, the first thing I do, I'm gonna do this really quick because I think I only have like 45 seconds left, is spirituality being hard at times. The linguistics of that question is implying that it is built in that spirituality is exhausting. The first thing I would do is drop it being exhausting and reframing it to understanding that we may need to balance ourselves out. But to impose that, a lot of our beliefs are in our definitions and are in our linguistics. So if we change that, we change the experience. So letting go of spirituality being hard at times will allow us to then feel like it could be more smooth. And the other thing I would say is that keep your energy levels high. Focus on you, recharge your batteries. Understand that you can't really help other people until you help yourself. And when you go about it through knowing you're at the cause and not the effect, that's when everything begins to change. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for this video. Let me know if you guys like this style of video. If you do, I'll do more Q&As in the future. And then other than that, as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, and namaste.